Hey everybody, welcome to the round 7 player ratings. These are uploaded a little bit later than what I would have liked them to have been, but today has been a day full of technical issues and Wi-Fi problems and whatnot and challenges, but life's all about overcoming the shit that gets thrown at you. So here we are, late Sunday night, and feeling good about being 5-2 and feeling good about getting a 50-point win. Regardless of who we're playing, anytime you get a win like this, it's important, I think, for this group as well. Now, if you've never watched a player ratings video, if this is the first video you're watching on the Blue Broad YouTube channel, well, welcome. It's good to have you here. Basically, I'll start the conversation on how each player played, give them a score out of 10. I like to look at each individual player separately, so what one person gets has absolutely nothing to do with what the other person gets. It's just based on, I guess, my expectations on them and where they're at in their careers, and if there's any adjustments, then by all means let me know in the comments below if X player should be a 9 instead of an 8 or a 5 instead of a 7. So we'll go from there. Now I'm going to read it out as it was named on the night. Spoiler alert, there's a lot of 10s going out today. A lot. It was a good performance. Wiedering, Lewis Young, Stocker. Wieders, thought he was really good. I gave him a 9 for his game. I'm really enjoying seeing his emotion and seeing his personality start to emerge. I think over the course of the last couple of seasons, we've started to see him really come into his own, obviously with a regular time slot on the radio and all of that. Just it's good to see. You know, he's not timid anymore, kind of like what he used to be, and almost guarded in a sense. So I'm happy with that. I love the way he competes. I love the way he goes about it. Started a little shaky, but I thought he responded really well. I gave him a 9 for his game. Lewis Young, I gave Lewis Young a 10, and this is another example of Lewis Young's specific circumstance. Has absolutely nothing to do with another player. I thought he competed really well. His marking ability was on display, the big, long arms, marking the ball at its highest point, which I think provided me with a lot of relief for Wiedering, because we really need that second reliable defender, and I believe Lewis Young is really becoming that. He looks like he's really fitting in. He looks like he's really comfortable. But away from the marking for a moment, the kicking, I did not know that was a part of his game. To be fair, I didn't watch much of him at the Dogs. I didn't watch him closely, but I did not know that he could kick the ball like that. So that was impressive. Now, as I'm filming this, I just got the news that he's been suspended for a week, which is an absolute fucking disgrace. But we will play that out as it comes, challenge or not challenge. I don't know. It's just one of those situations. He was tunneled by Nick Larkey, that weak act, cowardly act, dog act. I'll keep referring to it as long as I feel the need to. And he could have been seriously injured. So I'm hoping the AFL use their discretionary powers to upgrade something to where it needs to be and make sure the right punishment is given out for such an act. But as it stands at the time of filming this, he will not be playing next week. So we can argue about it. Maybe tomorrow night on the Blue Broad show we'll have a real crack at it and go from there. But I gave him a 10. Now, Stocker, this was really disappointing. It's good to have him back in the side. The toughness is there. The tenacity is there. The alpha behaviour is there. You know, he's such a confident player. He's confident within his body. He's confident to throw it around a little bit. And he provides us with some serious just toughness all around. I loved what he did. You could tell that he has had quite a fair bit out of the game as well, because he seemed to be a little bit off early, but he seemed to find his way into the game. Laid that unbelievable bump, which really just got everyone up off their seats. And unfortunately, it's the last bump officially before, you know, now we can definitely declare that the bump is dead, because he has also been suspended for a week. Now he's obviously injured himself as well, so that'll play out as it plays out, but really disappointed. I gave him a 5 for his game. Obviously went off early with injury. I just gave him a pass mark, and I wish him some serious luck just to get back on the park and give us, you know, 40 straight games. That'd be an unbelievable result, because he is a special player. Just needs some continuity and a little bit of luck. But wishing him the best. Next up was Plowman, Saad, Doherty. Lockie Plowman came in late for Zach Williams. I could sense the moans and the groans, but you know what? Fair play. He played well. I gave him an 8 for his game. The thing about Lockie's game, for me, the way I saw it, was defensively. That's his one wood, as they'll say. But he looked dangerous with ball in hand, and he looked to create with ball in hand, which it got me thinking. When Lockie Plowman first came to Carlton, that was a real hallmark of his game. At the start, he was a bit of an attacking defender, and he really had the best of both worlds because he could take smalls, talls, and sort of those mid-sized types. He's very versatile with his height and athleticism, but he also had this willingness to be attacking. And I haven't really seen much of it this season, but I did notice it against North Melbourne. Now, whatever, was it just the way it happened on the night? Was the instruction from the coaches different? I don't know, but just seemed to be more dangerous with ball in hand and more creative. So I gave him an 8. Sard, I gave him a 10. He was a bit stiff not to get player of the round. I gave it to Patrick Cripps, but Adam Sard he didn't do much wrong. He really didn't do much wrong at all. Every time the ball went near him, he either won the contest, halved the contest, and then if he got the ball, he definitely always ran away with it. He was tripped on a play by Jack Zeeble, which was another cowardly act, but not as cowardly as the big Souvlaki, the big boy. But anyway, Sardi gave him a 10. Doc gave him a 10. Just, again, another reminder why he's an inspiration to us all. 33 possessions, used the ball at 75%. He was really the one that led the way in terms of generating that ball forward for us and gaining territory and allowing us to win that battle. He had 506 metres gained. It was a peak Sam Doherty performance. 30 touches, 500 plus metres gained. Those are the types of numbers he was getting when he was an All-Australian player. And so for that, gave him a 10. Next up is O'Brien, Cripper, and Noons. Lockio, I liked his game. The stats will say 15 touches, and some people will say either not enough or not enough contested possessions, but whatever. I liked his work rate. I had the beauty of being at the game, and he on those wings just ran all day, and we seem to use the wings a lot more, and we seem to use our width a lot better in this game as well. So I gave him an 8. I was happy to see him back in the side, and I was talking to the Blues footy boys today on the podcast, and we spoke a bit about the wing position, and we've got the 4 of them in, O'Brien, Cottrell, Noons, and Setterfield, the ones that we've tried there, and I think O'Brien's at the top of that group for me personally. So we'll see what happens, and we'll see what the coaches do with selection, but I thought he played well enough. Some of the kicking was really, really nice to see. Cripper, 10, 35 and a goal. Probably could have had a couple. I think he was spewing. He didn't have a couple more. He really got some nice opportunities, but he got us going just all game. He's having a phenomenal year. I'd be shocked if he didn't get the 3 Brownlow votes, and gave him a 10. Jack Noons, you know what? I thought he played well. I thought that, he's come into the side, 22 touches, 10 marks, kicked a goal. What more do you want from Jack Noons? He's a role player for us, and I thought he did it to borderline perfection. Used the ball at 81%, so I gave him a 9. I know he can get more. I don't know, maybe that's a bit stiff. Maybe I should give him a 10. It felt like 9 was enough, so I gave him a 9. Next up was Fisher, Jack Carroll, and Jack Martin. Zach Fisher, gave him a 9. Thought he was outstanding. Looked to be playing a bit more up the ground. Looked to be a lot more damaging with his foot skills in terms of, I love when he has those short kicks because we need someone to be able to lower the eyes. But he really had penetration in his kicking, and I think he had 472 meters gained, which was something that's a bit different to what we've seen so far this season from him. Had a poor performance last week after a really good one the week before. So to see him respond was important. I really didn't like some of the crowd around me who were just yelling out like that he was soft or whatnot. And then when he would make a good play, they wouldn't say anything about that. So I don't know. Just know that I've got my eye on you. Fish is my boy. And I think he's coming along nicely. I think he's had a pretty good year. I think apart from one game, he's had a really, really strong year. And it's, touch wood, he's healthy and hasn't had anything happen with the ankles. Those have been the things that have just held him back. I would like to see him just keep building, getting more fitter, and therefore allowing him to play a bit more up the ground and creating opportunities for our forwards from midfield. I think that's where Fish is at his best, and that was one of his better games. So gave him a 9. Jack Carroll, mate. Jack Carroll, welcome. What a debut. He was really good. And again, this is an example of personal circumstance. As a teenager playing his first game for the Carlton Football Club, I gave him a 10. I remember meeting him last year at the season launch event, and obviously that would have been one of his, it was probably his first event. And I remember meeting him. He was just so young and so, timid and shy, and He already looks like he's more comfortable. The boys look like they love him and get around him. And it was interesting because during Michael Voss's pre-game press conference, he made a really strong, confident comment around Jack Carroll, where he said, well, he won't be shirking any contests. He was really bullish about him, and I got confidence out of that, and I'm sure Jack got confidence out of that performance. And, now it's just given us a new question, like, well, you can't drop him. So when George Hewitt comes in, who's going out? It's a great position to be in. Rap for him. A lot of hard work goes into playing one game, let alone, hundreds and whatnot, like some of these other players are building towards. So well done to Jack, gave him a 10, and, hopefully the start of a great, prosperous and healthy career. Jack Martin, I gave him a 9. I thought he found his... that's Jack Martin. He had 2 goals, had the 13 touches. Would obviously love him to win more of the ball, but I did think that when he was winning the ball, he had enough impact, and I thought he did his job. And that wasn't a game to criticise. I thought that was good from him, so I gave him a 9 for his game, and still want more. Again, I just want more because I'm greedy, and I know that he can be even better. But look, he's a player that I sense just needs to build through the season and just stay in the side, not get injured, get the continuity, and it seems to be working. He seems to be getting incrementally better. So, well done to him, but just got to keep backing it up. I want him to become a leader at the club on the field. That's what I ultimately believe he should be. So, gave him a 9. Dirds, I gave him a 7 for his game. I thought he covered the ground a lot better than last week and the week before. Wasn't able to hit the scoreboard, which is probably why I've given him a 7 and not more. But, his work rate, it's all there to see. The coaches must love his pressure. He just gives the second, third, fourth, fifth efforts and runs himself into the ground. And, before we know it, he's going to be playing his 50th game the way he's going. He just seems to be doing all the right things. And hopefully this week he hits the scoreboard and gets some more reward. In this game, it was always that got on the end of a couple of goals. And, it looks like it's just going to be one of those things that'll interchange. But, I thought he was fine with what he did and played his role. So, did well. Charlie Curnow, I think I'm being a bit stiff. Gave him a 9, but maybe I should give him a 10. He kicked 3 goals for. I actually thought he was the most dominant forward for the majority of the game out of him and Harry. And then Harry seemed to probably just grab it as the game wore on. It might have had something to do with the fact that Charlie missed some very gettable goals for his, standards and talent. But look, 7 shots on goal, 7 games into the season after a big layoff. He's coming along nicely, and, we just got to groom him and get him through the season. And he seems to be backing up pretty well, which is something he identified as, one of the hardest parts of getting back. So hopefully he's feeling good. Seems to have the spring, seems to have more confidence in his body every time I watch him play, and I thought he was great. So gave him a 9. Harry, as I said, he was the most dominant forward on the day for me, so I gave him a 10. He looked to really be a bit more direct with his leading patterns, and the way he marked the ball, he sort of marked the ball with force, and he jumped right at the football and really, really attacked it. I haven't seen him do it consistently yet in his career. I think he's a guy that can win the ball in a majority of ways in the air and whatnot, but he just looked to be a lot more direct and targeted with the way he was running at the football. And maybe it was the opposition, maybe it was the defense that he came up against, and who knows. But I did notice a different Harry. It was a lot more elite. He was really good. So gave him a 10. De Koning, Chera and Walsh. De Koning, thought he battled well. I gave him an 8 for his game. Like I said, I'm patient with him. We're getting crucial games into him. My heart was in my mouth when he went off the ground and had to get the ankle restrapped, and I hope it settles down and we get him through and he plays next week. But it's just such a fragile position, the ruck stocks at the moment. And I guess we'll talk about it on Monday, but, we're building towards the future. Murkov is coming along nicely in the reserves. I don't know if he's quite ready to get in the team in the ones and help out Tom, but I guess when the coaches think Murkov can play, he'll play. But yeah, I'm just hoping Tom's body can just hold up and withstand everything that's coming over the next couple of weeks, because we've got some important games that we need to get through, and then we get the bye, and then we can reassess what happens. So gave him an 8. Chera, I gave him a 9. I thought he was all class. the 26 and a goal. Worked his butt off all day. I think he's got a little bit more to offer. That's why I didn't give him the 10. I think he's capable of a bit more. But I did think he was one of our better players on the day. So a 9 for Chera. Walshy, gave him a 10. We can get so used to how great he's been for us that, 29 and a goal going at 82% just seems like a normal day at the office. But it is a normal day at the office, but his normal day is great. So he's coming along nicely. Gave him a 10. The bench was Silvani, Kennedy, Newman, and Owies. Sauce, I think he started a little slow, personally, and then he got into the game, got into the flow. I ended up giving him an 8 for his game. He does everything the team needs. He provides everything we need. The spoils, the smothers, it's all there. And I loved the exchange between he and Jason Horne-Francis. Just, it's a sign of the maturity of the group. All of a sudden, Jack Silvani is letting a youngster know and putting a youngster in his place. That used to be Jack Silvani getting put in his place by an older player. So it's cool to see that evolution, and that's part of what I was saying in the review. Like, if you blink and you're too focused on, injury reports, then you'll miss the fact that we're starting to really become that mature, bigger brother, schoolyard bully to certain teams. So I like to see that. That was an 8 performance for me. Kennedy, that looked a lot better. 24 touches, went at 75%. Had the 14 contested, the 11 clearances, which was really good. He really helped us, and I think we really needed him to play that way, especially with Hewitt being out. So thought he stepped up. So I gave him a 9. Nick Newman, I gave him a 7. I thought it was okay. I didn't find myself being overly wowed with his game, and I've said this before. That's not a bad thing. That's just might have been the way the game played on that night. I didn't think he played poorly. I just didn't think he was super and outstanding, and I've seen him have more impacting games this season. So I think he's coming along nicely. He plays a role. Gave him a 7 for his game. Thought he was good. And then Owies, misconception. People see 5 possessions next to his name and think, well, he played terrible. But I disagree. I thought he was great. Gave him a 9 for his game. He had 8 tackles, 6 of which were inside 50. It's a crazy stat. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe he now leads the league in tackles inside 50. So he is developing nicely. He really is. He's a great story. He's a super story for the Category B, rookie spot that we use to get him. You can argue that they're almost a gamble. You're picking a player from another sport and hoping you can develop them into a player. I think Matt Owies is a serious player, and he's only going to get better because he puts in the work, and you can just tell he's an ultimate professional. So gave him a 9 for his game. Cottrell, I found it a little bit hard to give him a rating, but I thought when he came on, he did some nice things. I don't know what happens with that situation when Noonsy's back. Does Cottrell stay the sub? Does he go back in the VFL and get some game time under his belt? I'm not sure. I might leave that up to you to discuss. But those are my player ratings nonetheless. Always good to do them after a win. Hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. No stress this weekend. It's great. Go to work this week. Chest's out again. Let everybody know that we're 5-2. When you see someone wearing some sort of Carlton merch in the street this week, be sure to give them a Go Blues. And we roll on forward. We move to Adelaide next week and see if we can move to 6-2, which would be, I think, halfway to finals. But we will talk about it tomorrow night. Blue Abroad show Monday, and we'll do it all over again next week. Have a good one, and go the Mighty Blues.